Brothers, sudercitas, lo que están a punto de ver es de verdad que dices, ¿cómo es posible que una persecución a una motocross, de esas para ir de campo traviesa, en la ciudad haya sido tan larga? Y aparte de todo que lo vengan siguiendo, el tipo se le acaba la gasolina, se para en una gasolinería, le pone gasolina a su moto, todos viéndolo, esperándolo, así como que contándole el tiempo, esperándolo a ver a qué hora termina. Cuando termina, cierra el tanque, se sube y se vuelve a echar a andar, brothers, y la policía sigue, empieza a seguirlo. O sea, ¿por qué no lo detuvieron cuando se subió a la gasolinería a ponerle gas? Es lo que ustedes van a ver ahorita, brothers. Esto es una mega jalada de persecución. Fue aquí en Los Ángeles ayer. Vean esto, caray. Está cañón.
They're on top of a police pursuit. Usually they're following a car. Usually they're following something like a sedan or a truck. Sometimes something bigger than that. Right now, they're following something much smaller than that. They're chasing a dirt bike. Fox 11 Los Angeles is on top of this pursuit right now. Before we get into this, just be advised they're in LAX airspace. That means actually tracking this pursuit might have some challenges for the chopper, for the bird's eye view that we have. Nonetheless, Fox 11 online with their news right now. Their anchor's talking this over. I believe they have an expert on the line as well. Let's listen into this live dirt bike chase in LA.
This pursuit, keeping an eye on them, but with all these trees in the very congested area, keeping track of that motorcycle is pretty tough because it gets behind a tree or up in a canopy of trees. You lose sight of it. It only takes a few seconds for that person to get in those positions and to get off the bike and start running to where the observer could lose them. But with the ground units this close behind, it's going to be a little tougher. But lots of police cars in following, so they'll be able to steal down an area really quick if he goes off on foot. But still kind of going around the areas here south of the 85s down towards the 105 freeway, so kind of staying in that one general area of the South LA neighborhood of Watts and not really giving any signs of giving up here, but right through the intersection there, luckily it was on a green, but units sticking as close as they can without being too dangerous, but not much more they can do than follow this suspect, wait for him to either run out of gas, give up, or hit something. I mean, there's only things that can make this come to an end, but they see the rider is really kind of taunting the officers, riding slow unless he's starting to run out of gas and slowing down that way. But it seems to me, with him standing up in the pegs on the motorcycle, it's just a taunting type activity. But this long shot here is very difficult to see as he rides along here. But, officers are going to do what they can to stay with him. The officer in the helicopter will keep eye on as best. So here's splitting traffic right down the yellow line. The units are going to have a real hard time weaving their way through their unit. Cars getting out of the way for them, thankfully. But, as with a car and a motorcycle, it's very tough to stay with them in traffic.
Yeah, currently now on East 77th Place, Compton Avenue and East 77th in a Southgate, East Los Angeles area. And as Tim says, when you get a motorcycle like this, he's got a lot more maneuverability than an automobile or an SUV. And, he can split right through traffic and sometimes not leaving it. You see right here, you can see a little tough for the officers as they make that turn there to try to keep up with them. And again, we've got some restricted airspace because of LAX, so it's not easy keeping track of this guy, but it looks like he is in that general area. And Tim, I think I counted a moment ago about 6 black and white units following.
Yeah, a lot of them are the what they call the slick tops, so it's more likely the metro units that are up there working this. So it's just a matter of time before they catch him. But yeah, a lot of units on scene here trying to keep an eye on him and also have those officers in the area to where they can shut down the area and try to pin them into a certain spot. But unusual to see that many units in a pursuit. And sometimes when you start seeing pursuit collect police cars, they'll call out to have 3 or 4 of them back off and just kind of trail a pursuit and stay in the area. But you see right there the LAPD area unit overhead doing their orbits, keeping track of that rider on the ground. But it's very difficult with all the buildings and all the trees and things of that sort to keep that motorcycle in sight. But doing a very good job at this point. The officers on the ground and officers in the air staying very close to the suspect. But as you said, as you asked, Glenn, yeah, it's unusual to see that many units in a pursuit, especially for a single occupant of a vehicle, whether it's a car or motorcycle. And more than likely, a watched runner will see that and then ask for, 3 or 4 of the units to back off and get out of the pursuit. But we'll see what kind of a trail we have coming down here as he pops his way out towards the Southgate area here. But you see the area right overhead making those tight turns and dropping down, staying as close as he can. So we're going to see if he pops out of one of these side streets.
All right, Tim.
There he is.
Okay, we got him up close again now on South Alameda Street and East 76, now Nadu Street, again in the Southgate, East Los Angeles area. And again, if you're just joining us, this motorcycle pursuit, we picked it up in Compton, and he'd been going through South LA. And what makes this so dangerous, not just the fact that he's got a motorcycle. It looks like he pulled into a gas station, but this guy also apparently has a gun with him. So yeah, there he is at the gas pumps.
Yeah, stopped at a gas pump here at Alameda, and they do. There's not going to be units too far behind to zip in here and cut him off. But I saw him. He was on a cell phone as he was rolling south here on Alameda. And this is the second time I've seen this month where suspects have stopped and started getting gas. But right here, you see he still has a cell phone in his left hand as he's pumping gas and watching for units to come around. But I'm surprised they're not on him really quick at this point because they weren't that far behind. And Alameda is right. Pulls away with the gas pump. Yeah.
Wow.
And so I must have seen a unit come rolling in, and now off they'll cross the sidewalk and continue southbound on Alameda here. But he's really that's something there. Just taking the gas pump with him, and now LAPD is going to have to pick it up now. He's got more gas on board, so this pursuit could go on for quite a longer time.
Yeah, he managed to ditch the nozzle and the hose, but, well, you just added another charge. That's destruction of private property.
Yeah.
Among other charges against this guy. Again, on South Alameda Street. Yeah, Tim, we always make jokes about a pursuit suspect stopping at a gas station and filling up. He actually got away with it for now.
Yeah. Like I said, we had one earlier part of the month where a car had pulled into a gas station and tried to get some gas, but that's what happens when the ground units have to give up because of the speeds, the danger of the pursuits. The police departments want to protect the motoring public as best they can and not get too close if it's that dangerous. So with that, you have an individual like this that's able to pull into a gas station and get gas. But what I'm seeing here is he has that cell phone in his left hand, and they're giving, getting information or calling people where he's at, and probably waiting to get to an area where he's familiar with and get a safe place to run to, or have somebody pick him up if he ditches the motorcycle and gets into a vehicle. But unless he ditches himself in an area where that area can't see him, he's just going to get picked up by the area and getting into a vehicle, because we've seen that where suspects will ditch the original vehicle and then jump into another car and take off with a co-conspirator or a victim who just happens to have their doors unlocked at a red light. We've seen that where they've jerked people out of cars. But this rider here showing no signs of stopping, and LAPD showing no signs of giving up on this pursuit.
And, of course, if this actual motorcycle or dirt bike was actually registered to this guy, it's not like they're not going to catch up with him eventually. So, even if it doesn't happen in the next 20 minutes or an hour, eventually they'll find this guy.
That's true. That's it. The vehicle is registered to him, and it's not stolen or borrowed. But the LAPD unit is right there behind him, going down the road here southbound. You can see him just kind of high rates of speed, and that unit trying to stay as close to him as he can on 88th Street here. So it's or 92nd Street, sorry. And as he comes around, you see the LAPD right behind him. And, yeah, unfortunately, they can't go up and tap him and knock him out of control. So all they can do is stick close as they can and wait for the end. Yeah,
unfortunately, he's I don't know if he's got a full tank of gas, but he's got enough gas where he can keep going for a while. Credit to the LAPD. They're doing a great job staying behind this guy.
Yeah, absolutely. The ground unit, it's a very difficult thing for a ground unit to stay with a motorcycle, especially a very nimble dirt bike like this, where they can squeeze between cars. Even you go up sidewalks and between buildings and things of that sort. You see them where they've gone up pedestrian walks, past those bollards that block cars from getting into a pedestrian area, into a park, or just into very restricted areas because it's such a thin vehicle, and also the acceleration. They can make a turn and accelerate very rapidly and make another turn, accelerate rapidly, and get a couple turns ahead of the ground unit, and away they go. But they're not going to outrun that A-star that's overhead, by the LAPD and that task force officer calling out every move. This suspect or this tactical flight officer calling out every move that suspect is making. So LAPD is not showing any indication of trying to give up on this or letting it go, as we've seen before, with that weapon involved, and unknown exactly what happened with that weapon. He could be a shooting suspect. He could be some type of violent crime suspect with that weapon, or it could be simple as somebody saw him with a gun in his waistband and called the police, and when they arrived, he took off. So right now, LAPD has to weigh all those bits of evidence and decide, how far they want to push this pursuit and how hard they want to chase. But it seems right here they don't want to give up.
Yeah, well, at least they have at this point, they do have a license plate number. They were able to get that information by being so close behind them. We see a black and white unit there going by that road that's parallel with that large grassy athletic field. Here we go. There he is right there.
Yeah.
East 111th Street in Compton Avenue, excuse me. Tim, we've seen this guy, Compton Watts. Obviously, he must be from this area, as we've seen in the past, because he's kind of sticking to basically the same neighborhood.
Right, and we know that from prior pursuits where they'll stay in an area they're familiar with. They know the streets, especially when you start seeing the multiple turns, left, right, but staying in a certain boxed area. That kind of tells you they know the area, they're from the area, versus the folks that get on the freeway and drive for several hours and get off and wander around. They get back on the freeway and go back the direction they came from. But you see right there, going across the parking lot, between cars, around cars, just trying to get through that red light. And now under the 105 here southbound, and he's going to pop out, and we'll see if the units can get around. Oh, right there. Good job, guys. They're right on him.
They couldn't shake him.
Right. Nope. And you see, I don't know what he's listening to his phone, so he could very well be listening to a social media feed that's broadcasting it. Actually, no, he's talking to somebody. So somebody may be watching TV and giving him indication of what's going on. So hopefully if they're watching, Fox, they just say, pull over. You're not going to get away, dude. You're going to end up hurting yourself going through these intersections, one hand in it on that left-hand turn going around. You just kind of wiggle it there a little bit because it's hard enough to ride a motorcycle high speed with two hands, let alone talking on the phone with one hand. So the chances and the percentages are coming up that he's going to end up running into somebody or losing control of this motorcycle going around corners like that, especially not keeping total control of the bike. But so far, kind of cruising right along, slowed down here a little bit, and just listening to that phone and talking to whoever. But, LAPD doing a great job here, sticking with them, and just a matter of time before this comes to an end. I'm kind of betting from prior experience and 40-plus years of law enforcement experience, it's not going to end well for him because more likely it's going to end up with a crash.
And it's not just him running to another vehicle. There's going to be a good possibility of an unsuspecting driver, like it could have happened right there in that intersection, actually hitting him.
Exactly. You're just going through an intersection. You have the green light, and a little blue motorcycle just zipped out of nowhere and right in front of you. You end up tagging him in the middle of the intersection. But my feeling here is he's going to hook a turn and end up running out of roadway and either hitting a curb or hitting the back of a car or T-boning somebody in an intersection because he's just really keeping the speeds up here on these residential streets. And people are just going home at this time, not expecting anything like this to happen where you got a motorcycle going along at 40, 50 miles an hour and blowing through intersections like that, but it's just a matter of time. Like I said, the percentages on these pursuits, the longer they go, the higher the percentages of something bad happening at the end, unless he just finally gets tired and realizes I can't get away and just, pulls over, gets up, gets off the bike and lays on the ground. We've seen that many times with, cars and people on motorcycle store. It goes so long, and they finally go, that's it. But right here, kind of cutting around here, wrong side of the street. You know, look at that. It's wrong side of the street here on El Segundo, heading back to the west, cutting down, passing cars here, westbound, passing those eastbound cars. And, you know, just a matter of somebody coming out of a driveway at this point. You see the officers not following him onto the wrong side of the street. That's all their training is, not to do that, because it puts other drivers in harm's way. But look at El Segundo Boulevard at this time of night. It's 6 o'clock, hardly anybody on it. That's totally unusual. But coming back down, and he'll eventually end up now heading back towards the 110 freeway there. And like I said, motorcycles able just to slide right by that car. But they can see the units coming with their lights on, sirens, and then they just stop, as you see right there in the middle, and let the guy go by. And that's exactly what you should do if you're in that situation as a driver. You see something like this coming at you, just stop your vehicle and let it go by. Truck right there, all these cars, they see what's coming. They don't need to get involved. Just stop and let it go. If it's coming up behind you, let it go by you. So look at this. He's kind of showboating now.
Yeah, standing up. He's still got the cell phone there in his left hand, looking back at the cops, probably mocking them. Looks like he's talking to somebody again. And, hey, listen, if you're watching us and you're talking to him, just tell this guy to pull over. He's not going to get away with this. It's going to be over, you know, sooner rather than later. And all he's doing at this point is just stacking up the charges.
Exactly. Just lesser included charges onto whatever started this. These pursuit violations, they just kind of go into the bottom, and whatever the felony charges that they're chasing him for is the main charging thing, and then everything else with all the felonies that he was here with putting people in danger will just be added on as extenuating circumstance.
All right, now traveling on West El Segundo Boulevard in Compton, and again, since we started following this pursuit, it was in South L.A., it was in Watts, he went into Compton, back into Watts. We think basically, you know, from what we've seen in the past, he probably is very familiar with this area, probably lives in this area, and is trying to figure out some way to ditch the police, and now he found a wide open field, and this is what I thought might happen.
Yeah, the park. Yeah, they get into the parks where the units can't chase them and kind of zip right along, and now the air unit's going to have to take this over and keep a close eye, but all it takes is for them to find the pedestrian exit out one side of the park. These are going to come right across the street. They're just zipping along. So, yeah, it's Magic Johnson Park. Very, very familiar with this park over in the South Watts area. So, luckily, not a lot of people out there, but he is really off-roading with a dirt bike and down the sidewalk and back onto El Segundo.
Well, I will say one thing. He certainly has some skills. He knows what he's doing on that motorcycle, unfortunately. By the way, if you're watching this right now, Tim, we're going to stay with this past 6:30. We're also streaming this on Fox LA Plus. So stay with us, and hopefully we'll get this thing wrapped up in the next 15 or 20 minutes. And again, this is a motorcycle. The driver not only does have a cell phone, it's our understanding he also has a weapon, a gun, and police have been in pursuit. We picked it up in South L.A., into Compton, into Watts, and now on East El Segundo Boulevard in Compton, still talking to somebody on that cell phone, Tim.
Yeah, exactly. You see him having a full-on conversation, talking, sticking the mic or the speaker up to his ear so he can hear it. And just, you know, like he's having a regular Sunday afternoon drive. It's just, you know, unusual that this guy can be able to do that. And like you said, that goes to his skill riding this motorcycle. But on the brakes here, making that right-hand turn back to the north and going to head up Broadway back up towards Watts, and kind of cutting through here now, hitting a parking lot, Athens Park, another park.
Another park.
Look at all the families and soccer players out here. Yeah. A lot of soccer players out here, and so he's going to have to weave his way through that, and hopefully they'll be able to.
Right in the middle of a soccer game. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Parents collecting their kids and trying to get them out of harm's way, but it looks like he's kind of making some circles here, and we'll see what he does here. Hopefully the LAPD will be able to cordon off this area, but if he comes popping out, you don't know which way he's going to go. But you know, how scared are these folks out here just playing soccer on a Wednesday evening to have this guy coming driving through? But we'll see, now he's behind a tree. So this is what an LA observer or tactical flight officer has to do, is see all the people running away
look at
from
the kids running
coming up there.
Here's the black and white unit. Here we go.
Hopefully he ran out of the guy just taunting the officers, all he's doing. Just taunting
come
the
on.
officers.
Look at this guy.
Yeah, that's all that was.
Little kids playing in a soccer game, and this guy, you know, he almost hit somebody there. Reckless abandon.
Gets up in the middle of a soccer game, football game, and just sits there and taunts the officers to come after him, and then takes off. So it's these people are, the people that do this, it's just, you can't figure out what's going through their heads and why they do stuff like this. And, you know, it'll always be the same. It'll always be the same in police work and the way people act.
So, Tim, we saw him stop at that one gas station. If he was able to actually fill his tank up, how much longer can he ride?
Well, it depends how much you got in here. Most of these motorcycles only carry, 2-3 gallons of fuel. So, and they can go hundreds of miles on just that small amount of gas. So it depends on how much he was able to get in there before he took off. So, I wouldn't be betting we're going to run out of gas here anytime soon. But hopefully this ends with this person deciding I can't do this anymore, and maybe it's time to give up. But right now, here he's going to cut across and on the brakes, hard through this intersection here. Oh, almost got nailed by that westbound car. Yeah, you see, you saw the fishtails. He jammed on the brakes coming down that right or left side of the street, kind of threaded the needle and shot through and got out in front of that one car. And luckily, that car didn't end up hitting him. So he's riding pretty good for a suspect on a motorcycle. So they're having to deal with that. And then the officers who are chasing them have to keep public safety in mind and cannot overdrive the conditions on the roadway to stay with them, and just depend on that tactical flight officer in the air unit overhead to keep track of them and just get as close as they can, stay as close as they can, to be able to get him if he gets out on foot and be able to lock it down. But this suspect not wearing a helmet and kind of just cruising along. Now he's got another person out here who's probably been keeping an eye on this and watching, and now wants to join in. So I hope that doesn't happen to where we've seen those big groups of motorcycles join in a big, herd of motorcycles going down the street. But it does look like this other person is even interested in it. He's happened to see another motorcycle and, cruise up. Well, I'm going to continue on home and let this guy ride. But pretty soon it's going to be very obvious there's more to it than just somebody riding.
Oh, boy. We got two of them. They're filming it. They're actually using the phone. They're probably
the guy in front.
Probably showing it live on social media.
Probably so. They've been watching it on TV or watching it on social media. So now it's going to turn into a social media event where these two are going to be filming as they go along. The one in the white jacket there is the first one to have the filming of it. Now all three of them have gone through the intersection on a red light, and their other units are going to try to pull over those two to get them out of the way and get them out of the problem, because they've just now, earned themselves, a ride to the station because of involving themselves in this pursuit and interfering with the pursuit. So they'll be having a discussion here later with the officers. But you can see the suspect is not giving up, back on Imperial, heading to the east and just cooking right along, but staying in that same area of South LA, that same box between 88, 105, out to Alameda and over to Broadway. So that's the area he's stayed in so far.
Yeah, expanded over there to Harbor Gateway for a couple of minutes, where he was going through that park where those soccer games are going on. Probably scaring a lot of people there, but now on West Imperial Highway in South Los Angeles, back where we pretty much started picking this up. And he keeps making those ridiculous, dangerous left-hand turns into oncoming traffic right in front of a black and white unit. And fortunately, the LAPD is still right on his tail.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing a real good job in the unit staying with him and not over driving. I haven't seen any real crazy moves by the black and whites, and that's, like I said, that's their job, is not get over involved in the pursuit to where they take away the safety of everybody else around them. But they try to stay with it as close as possible. But, you know, it's all up to the suspect how this is going to end. It's either going to end with him hitting something and really hurting himself or hurting somebody else, or just pulling over and giving up and following directions of the officers. So totally up to that rider on that motorcycle.
Also, a lot heavier traffic now coming the other way, so that kind of, you know, he's going to have to stay on the correct side of the road at this point. Well, maybe not so much now.
Yeah, he's been using that yellow line right between cars and passing on the right. When he sees the congestion on his side of the road, he goes all the way to the left. He hits the curb line, kind of cleans his way, you know, along. But, you know, I'm surprised with the lack of traffic that's out, because normally these streets are pretty full at this time of night. So it's lucking out on this pursuit that we're not running into too much more. Just, you know, jam ups at intersections right here coming along, and he's going to cut between there. Units or people are hearing those sirens coming along as he continues northbound here. Figueroa just went through Century, so this is right under the LAX approach. Once again, for the folks who just joined us, the reason they're looking so far away is they're not allowed to, media helicopters are not allowed to fly into the LAX airspace, so they have to stay south or north to keep an eye on this. So the way this guy's been operating, he has stayed in that little box, and he'll get up north here a little bit further and then start turning around and coming back to the south, is what we've seen about 3 times now during this pursuit.
Yeah, we're going to put a little in a box here. About 15, 20 minutes ago, you see the driver here. The live shot is in the smaller box. In the bigger box, you see the motorcycle rider. And again, this is not a motorcycle; it's a dirt bike, which which is great for off-roading. Making a turn here, and he's inside. He goes to a Chevron gas station. Actually pulls up to a pump, and he had just enough time to for about a minute or so to fill his tank back up. Don't know how much gas he was actually able to get, but if he was low enough, maybe he wasn't able to fill it up completely. But he suddenly pulled away. You'll see here in just a moment. And I don't know what he saw. Probably a black and white unit, or maybe heard the sirens. But when he pulled away in a hurry, and he took the nozzle and he took the hose with him. And they were dragging along beside him there for about a block down there. You see it right there. And he pulls out of that gas station back into on the street, on South Alameda Street. And after a couple of moments, that nozzle and hose finally falls away. So, again, not a motorcycle, a typical motorcycle that you'd see on the street. This is a dirt bike, which does give him an advantage when he gets into a park area, which we've seen him go through Irvin Johnson Park, as well as I think it was Athena Park. And, police are still close behind him. And, bizarre pursuit started with us in South L.A. and continues. And I guess, Tim, we're in that airspace where we got a problem.
Oh, yeah. Ever since the D.C. crash, the FAA has really cracked down on any flights of helicopters within the surface area of any major airport, and this is one of them. And this is the Alameda corridor they're cutting up. They're right on the edge of the surface area of LAPD, or of LAX. And so if you fly up the east side, you can follow Alameda north up to about to the 10 freeway, where you could then turn back to the east and go around that airspace. So that's what you're seeing here. Actually, they're on the 105 right now. I get a little off on once he tilted up, I saw downtown. But yeah, they're heading over to the 105, up the 105, then we'll start northbound on Alameda here to get around it. So yeah, that's really put a real camper on the media ships staying with the pursuit. But the LAPD airships can stay with it as best they can, but LAX has been known, the controllers there, to ask the police area units to leave the airspace if it gets too congested. So right here is the Alameda corridor he's coming to, and he should be turning north, heading up into the downtown area, or trying to get that east-west look through those streets. So we'll see what happens here in a few minutes as they kind of keep tabs on the pursuit, looking at that area, and also listening to the police scanners in that helicopter trying to stay with it. But a great job by the crew on Skyfox to do their best to stick with it this long.
Yeah, apparently, from what we've been told, he's eastbound, heading toward the 110. So maybe he's going to try to jump on a freeway, maybe head toward the downtown area. That might be a tactical advantage for him if he gets on the streets in downtown Los Angeles. Tim, let me ask you this. We've seen the black and white units doing a great job of staying behind him. When it's a motorcycle opposed to a car, do they even bother to try to seal off an area or throw down a spike strip, or is that just because they can maneuver so well on a dirt bike? Does that even come into play?
Yeah, I mean, once they get up into the motorcycle gets into an area where units can't get through, like I was speaking earlier, where they can cut down that yellow line between traffic, cut down the right or left shoulders, and get into parks like we saw when he went to Magic Johnson Park there. It's very difficult for a ground unit to stay with a motorcycle. If they're bigger bikes, bigger, heavier road bikes, then there's a little more maneuverability problems with them. When you get these little nimble dirt bikes, there's anybody's guess where they can end up.
Well, again, we're looking down in South L.A., police in pursuit of a man on a dirt bike. And we know that he's armed. He has, we believe, a handgun. Also talking a lot on his cell phone. So, that's why police are being so aggressive trying to end this. But because of air traffic at LAX, we're not able to pin down exactly where they are at the moment. Again, a bizarre pursuit, not a motorcycle, a dirt bike, and we have seen him stop at a gas station, actually get some more gas and manage to pull out. Also driving through a couple of parks. Let's go back and look at that. He was, this is on East El Segundo, Bellhaven in Compton. And he pulls off into a park. This is actually Irvin Magic Johnson Park, named after the Laker great and legend. And, being a dirt bike, this is pretty easy for him. Drove through the park trying to get away from officers. And eventually, we're going to see him here come up back on a street. And he just, zooms right across into the other side of the park. Could care less that there was any traffic, just throwing caution to the wind. And eventually here you'll see him come up here, and he's going to get back on a surface street. And apparently at the moment we know, just to give you an update, he is southbound on Figueroa Street. Again, we're having a tough time getting a shot because of the air traffic at LAX. But again, this is earlier, this dirt bike, you see him there just going through traffic. And that's where it makes it tough for officers, because he can go between the cars and the police cannot do that. That gives him a little space between him and officers for a while. And here he is now going into Athens Park, where it just so happens there are several soccer games going on. And he pulls up here for just a moment and then zooms right through the middle of the field. And you can see the players all kind of stunned, and the team there in the orange running off the field. The other team, you see a coach there telling people to back up. And, just he gets on this dirt part of the field and just kind of driving in circles for a while. And we understand now that he is currently on South Broadway. And that's what our aerial shot is trying to find right now. We see that one chopper in the air. That's obviously law enforcement, LAPD helicopter, which is over this pursuit. He's also being followed, last time we saw, by 6 black and white LAPD units. Now, this is going back to the park in Athens Park. Black and white unit comes up right next to an SUV. And, again, a lot of kids and coaches and parents running out of the way to try to stay safe as he hopped on South Broadway, which we're told he's on this same street right now. It's just a matter of us trying. Okay, he's now on. He's on West 111th. We understand that he has crashed, but he has gotten up and he's now on the run. And this is a foot pursuit at this point. He's running through people's backyards. He's jumping fences. So at least the part of him being dangerous on the roadways, Tim, is over.
Yeah, it was a matter of time for he hit something. Yeah, 111th is just a little bit north of 105, and Broadway is that first street just east of the 110. So that whole area there will start getting locked down. You'll see 111th. They'll lock it down there and then take it from Broadway to Main and start keeping track of it. But I guarantee you the air unit is right on him. If he's running, they'll be able to pin him down with all the units in the area who are there normally for patrol. And then the units that were involved in this pursuit, they're going to be able to lock that area down pretty quickly. And I suspect he'll be in custody pretty quick. But, yeah, luckily coming to an end, getting him on foot, getting him off that motorcycle is the best thing that could have happened at this point.
Well, he's working hard to get away. He is, from what we understand, going through backyards, jumping fences. There's a lot of dogs barking at him, and now running down an alley, looking for some place to hide. But as we said, this must be a familiar area to him because the South LA Watts area and a little bit of Compton that he drove into, that seems to be an area that's familiar with him. But you see there's a black and white unit parked now at an intersection trying to block traffic, and another one there turning.
Yeah, they're setting that perimeter. As I said, the east perimeter is going to be Main Street, and now these units are going to drop in and start locking down the east-west streets, span between Broadway and Main, locking that area. That unit will probably stop right in there, trying to close off that area, because the area that kind of knows the general areas where he's at. So that unit's going to pop there. This one's going to run down and get that intersection of Broadway, and if that's 111, trying to lock it up. But the one thing you're not going to see is a bunch of cars racing in where they think the suspect is. They've got to lock the area down first and then go in and find the suspect. But you see, it looks like we're pretty well focusing on this house right here, so he's more than likely in that neighborhood.
Yeah, Tim, it's our understanding that he, at 207, I'm sorry, what's that street again? West 112th, 207 West 112th Street. He's actually, at the moment, hiding in a trash can.
There you go.
So,
one of the favorite hiding spots.
Trash can and recycling bin, and I saw some blue ones behind that one house, so maybe that's, and you see one right there in that back building behind that beige house. So possibly that's where he is, and judging by the way the black and white unit is positioned, I would say that's probably where he is at the moment. So at this point, he's not going anywhere. He's it'll be a matter of time. They definitely are going to get him now. It's just how long this is going to drag out.
Yeah, he has contained himself, thank goodness, and the officers will just take their time and do it safely and get back in there.
He's actually jumping out. He's got his hands up. Looks like this is he's finally given up after all that aggressive driving on that that dirt bike on city streets in South LA. And here we go. You see the officers there.
There you go.
There he is.
Yep.
Okay.
Now they're gonna have to search where he ran and see if he dumped a gun or if he just dropped it right there in the driveway. So they'll have to figure that out.
Yeah. Well, limping a little bit. So obviously, when he crashed, he's injured and is probably going to have to be taken to the hospital. But, he's doing what he's supposed to do at this point, finally. Got his hands up. He's backing up towards the officers. And momentarily, he will have the handcuffs on him. A lot of officers involved in this one.
Oh, yeah. That's what usually happens when you do something like this. You attract a lot of attention.
Well, he certainly did. All right, again, this taking place the arrest in the driveway of a house in South Los Angeles on 111th Street. And they're now putting the suspect in the back of a car. So the end of another pursuit here in Southern California. And that does it for our show today. We're going to join West Coast Rap coming up. I'm Glenn Walker. Have a good night.
Glenn Walker wrapping up in Fox 11's coverage of this dirt bike chase. Austin Westfall with Live Now back on the microphone as we just watched the culmination of this pursuit. Sadly, it was out of our view when the motorcycle crashed out. The suspect tried to flee on foot, eventually hid himself in a trash can. Police were very quickly afterward able to get him out of the can and into custody. Did look like he was nursing one of his legs there, possibly a result of the collision that happened. Again, out of our view, but nonetheless, this dirt bike chase coming to a conclusion. Wanted to make sure we got that on air. It can be frustrating, of course, when the airspace gets in the way of following these pursuits, but Sky Fox able to catch up with this suspect. Right.